Good space time, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast, a source for educational insights into the Web3 universe and your connection hub to the people that turn code and dreams into decentralized applications and reality. Today, we are joined by Sergey from Quokka Stake Validator. We discussed privacy, decentralization, free speech, and values in education. We dive into the challenges of smaller validators, the merits of refurbished hardware, and points of failure. Finally, we talk about Web3, human rights, renewable self-generated power supply, and infrastructure. If you enjoy the Citizen Web3 podcast, please share this episode to your favorite social platform and help us spread Web3 values into the universe.
Usually people are deciding which chain to validate based on how profitable it is. For me, it's not about profits at all.
The internet is there, and the internet is cool, but the problem is the protocols.
If you are not using such a solution, somebody can just steal your keys and cause you to double sign. We don't want others influencing people. We want people to make up their own choices. If you are somewhere at the bottom of the active set, it's pretty much, a race.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast. Today, we have a validator interview, and I have Sergey with me from Quokka Stake. I'm sorry I'm saying Serge or Sergey. Serge has got the same name as me. I prefer saying Serge. He prefers Sergey. I don't know, but let's say hello to him. Sergey, hi. How are you?
Hi, I'm quite cool. And you?
I'm good. Is Serge or Sergey? What's the preference? Because I prefer Serge personally. But you?
I would usually use Sergey with Y at the end because it's it can be written differently. Because I have issues with all of my documents where my name is all written differently in different documents. So I usually stick with Sergey with the Y at the end, not I but Y. But yeah.
I totally understand what you say, man. I have documents from 3 or 4 different states, and all of them are completely different. It's always a mess, but I gonna get used to it, so that's why I'm asking. Sergey, tell us please about yourself. Tell us about a little bit, introduce yourself, who you are, what is Quokka Stake, and what do you do?
Okay, so basically I am a person who is interested a lot in technologies and programming and stuff. I have a full-time job as a backend developer, backend/DevOps. Basically, that's what I do for a living. And I'm somewhat interested in crypto in its technical parts. For example, on running full nodes, on running validators and stuff. And I am also a validator on a few of Cosmos chains, including Cosmos Hub now. So my validator is running under the moniker Quokka Stake because I thought Quokka is a cute animal with a smile, which is pretty much me. So yeah, I think that's cool. So that's pretty much it for me. So the validator isn't that big. We are validating 9 chains and 2 consumer chains, But yeah, it's all quite interesting, I would say.
9 is more than we do in Citizen Web3, so including consumer chains.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so you do it more than us.
How many we do? How many chains do you validate?
I'm trying. Yeah, I think I lied. Wait, if it's including testnets, I think it's more. But I'm trying to think. So there is Cosmos, Stride, Neutron. That's 1, right? I mean, that's like technically 1 with the consumer chains.
For me, it's 7 then. Because I have 7 usual chains and 2 consumer ones.
We validate mostly. We have, what do we have? We have Evmos, we have Cyber, we have Celestia, we have Litecoin, Bitcoin. What about you? Let's talk about you, man. Us is boring.
Yeah, but basically my biggest asset now is Cosmos Hub, of course, because I have more than 1 million of delegations here. And yeah, it's tricky and difficult and expensive to get into the Cosmos Hub active set. But yeah, so my most valuable asset is Cosmos Hub validator, of course, but also validate chains like Sentinel, Jackal, which one? Decenter, Bitsong, Bitopia, and something else. Let me see. I had the list of it somewhere. Let me check. And also 2 consumer chains, Stride and Neutron and Nomic, which is not a Cosmos chain, but it's still quite promising. And yeah, these are all main nets. I also validate a few test nets, namely Cosmos, Jackal, and Nomic. So yeah, something like this.
A question I have for you. I had this question for you much later down the line because usually like there is a different flow, but it doesn't matter. We can go in any way we want. And this is actually a question I had for you because I looked at your list of chains, of course, before. I'm curious, to what extent for you is when you choose a chain, when Quokka, I'm going to speak to you like in a second, like Quokka Stake. So when Quokka Stake decides to do chain selection, how important is the factor of decentralization and privacy when it comes to, let's forget about privacy, sorry. How important is the matter of decentralization when it comes to chain selection for you?
Actually, usually people are deciding which chain to validate based on how profitable it is. For me, it's not about profits at all because I have other ways to earn money, let's say. But for me, it's mostly about the project itself, and I'm really passionate about the projects which have real utility. For example, I don't like projects like persistence that much because I don't see a real value they add. But for example, there are projects like Sentinel, like Akash, like Jackal. These are all, firstly, they are all focused on privacy, I would say, in a different way. For example, Sentinel allows you to use VPN in a decentralized way, and the Jackal is pretty much a Dropbox on the blockchain. So yeah, I like these kinds of tools because this is something like you can really touch, you can really use. So like you see, it's you can really use it in some way. So this kinds of project I really like. But also, for example, for Sentinel, like I would say its tokenomics and token price is really not that great, but the project is really good and the idea behind it is really strong. So this was like kind of the key factor for me when I decided to join as a validator. And a lot of this also applies to another projects. For example, the recent validator I added was Gitopia, which is pretty much GitHub on blockchain. And for me, it's not profitable at all. And this is like one of the most resource-consuming validators I am running. But I like the idea behind it because it's it's promising, really promising, and it really sounds cool. So this is basically like I would say the biggest factor for me is the project itself and the idea behind it.
I totally understand. I totally connect with that. We have been trying to avoid. I've been in and out of validation since 2015 when it was called witness nodes, and I've been trying to avoid touching anything that I don't think is much as my values. So I totally understand when you say that for you the most important thing is not profitability but use case. Let me ask you a different question here, something that actually I usually start with. How did you end up? I mean, you said you have a DevOps background and a developing background, which is, of course, an amazing thing for validators. But let me ask you the most difficult question. Why Web3? How did Sergey wake up one day and like, I'm going to start a validator? No, I mean, it doesn't happen like that, right? What happened? What is the
Yeah.
story behind?
Basically, it was my brother who's really into Sentinel a lot, but he's not a technical person, but he's more of like SMM / community management guy. So he was really passionate about Sentinel, and he decided to join a validator, and he needed our help, my help, I mean. So I helped him a bit with it, and while researching on how does it work, I started to get curious about all of the parts on how it's working. And yeah, here I am running 9 validators on my net. Pretty much the story.
Excuse me for my cough, man, but I totally understand that story. I've heard all sorts of stories in 4 years, and usually the most typical one is like, oh, I was helping somebody or I was just good. Oh my god! But let's try to dig. I want to understand what is for you though. Why for you it's important to, okay, the story is there, but you are here today because like you said, you not for profitability, but you are interested in technology, you're interested in use case. Why is it important for you? Why is Web3 important for you? What do you see in it?
Yeah, I mean, with all of the, like, for me, it's also part of the reasons why I'm so interested in these aspects and also in privacy on blockchains is also that I live in the country that is kind of, I don't know how to say it, but the privacy is important here, and I also want to do something to be involved with something that fight for human rights, for privacy, and stuff like this. And blockchain is there are some blockchains that really make this possible. For example, against Sentinel, for example, NIM, which is like Tor, I would say in some way. And these kinds of projects are really cool. So for me, this one is interesting a lot. Another aspect for me why I am still here is in crypto. Is that I'm really curious about the technical part. For me, it's like really cool and nice and something to play with. I would say is maintaining all of this, writing tools for the ecosystem and stuff like this. So this is something I really enjoy. Because for me, it's not like something like I do for a living. For me, it's more like a hobby. I wouldn't do it if it wouldn't be interesting for me. So yeah, these two aspects, I would say.
When you mention, it's interesting. I'm going to go deeper into that. When you say privacy technology, do you think, I don't know how long you've been around crypto, but by the way, how long, since when did you start roughly, not validating crypto in general?
Not that far away, actually, maybe in 2021. I think, yeah, maybe in March 2021, I think, or something like this. Yeah.
And do you think from what you've seen so far that those things you are talking about, I'm curious, I'm being devil's advocate here, because I'm always am, but I want to understand what's inside the head of the people. It's important to me. And what I'm trying to get in here is like, do you think that the things you are talking about are being implemented by different projects, or because sometimes I'm gonna like do a bit of a side sentence before I let you answer. Sometimes I look personally, and I don't think it's just my feeling. I'm sure a lot of other people have the same feeling. We look at the market and we like, it's not about the price. It's about like what people are choosing to do, what projects are choosing to do sometimes. Sometimes projects say they're privacy centered and they go and do something crazy, which is like blows the mind of any privacy advocate, or sometimes they talk about, I don't know, like building decentralized infrastructure and then they use AWS, I don't know, whatever, like, do you think personally, what's your opinion? Have you in those 2 years, as somebody who came in, 3 years, 2021, do you think that those projects that are talking about privacy technology, are they really doing that? Or do you have like, what's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I would say they are doing it in some way, but the problem is it's not like, I would say it's not like the mass adoption stage when everybody is ditching Web 2 apps and turning to Web 3 apps because, yeah, it's not at that stage yet, but I would say it's not the technology that is the bottleneck here, but mostly the marketing because it's not like public as much as Web 2 apps, I would say. But yeah, my feeling is that that will only come. The popularity of Web3 apps would be only increasing over time because, yeah, the idea is pretty much really promising. So I think, yeah, a lot of people would love to join it at some stage when they will know about it. So once we reach that point, it would get way more interesting than when we are getting here, than the point we are here right now.
What is the one app? Two questions in one. What is the, in your opinion, one app that will help adoption? And the second part of the question, what has to happen for you to stop being interested in blockchain altogether?
For me, I honestly have no idea what should happen that I would lose my interest in doing so because for me it's again the technical parts that are interesting and there's always something I I have to do or I can think of doing. For example, I don't know, writing some analytics or whatever, like really this thing that is cool for me. And can you repeat the first part because I didn't quite get it?
Of course. What, in your opinion, is the application that will help mass adoption? What will it be? Will it be a, I don't know, a mobile application about weather? Will it be a personal assistant AI with blockchain? I don't know, whatever, game?
I would say there are different use cases for that and different applications. But like one thing I really know for sure, for example, that we can really benefit is that something we are already having. So we have, as I was saying before, we have Sentinel, which is quite the VPN in the blockchain, and they already have some applications that are people are already using. And it would be really cool. It would be really something interesting when we'll get to the stage when these applications would have the same amount of users as regular ones do, regular VPNs, I mean. For example, this is one use case I can think of, but I think there are way more than that. But yeah, I think when the future will come, we'll see.
I understand. Definitely. There is several interesting VPN projects, I think, that I've been following over the past several years. In Cosmos, there is one, also obviously Sentinel, but I think there's also Mysterium in Ethereum. And there was also another one. I forgot what was the name. I don't wanna don't remember. Sorry, but it's definitely very, very interesting to watch how they develop. What's more interesting to me is how to create the underlying decentralized infrastructure for these even networks to work, because today, a lot of the time we talk about decentralization, decentralized networks, decentralized communication, blah 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 blah, yet there isn't really a real P2P communication. If we talk about decentralized infrastructure, the internet is there and the internet is cool, but the problem is the protocols that we have, right? So do you think that we, as a Web3 community, let's refer to ourselves, let's be a little bit arrogant, let's pretend we are the Web3 community right now, and do you think that we are, but I was kind of elevating our status a little bit here, but do you think that creating a decentralized infrastructure, that layer, is an important part to actually achieving decentralized technology?
Yeah, I would say so, because, for example, if an application connects to one server to get data from the blockchain, it's like a single point of failure, because if somebody blocks the server, basically the app is not working. So it's really important to have something, I don't know, like P2P or, I don't know, service discovery or something similar. And that is quite a challenging task, I would say, but it's not only in crypto, but also in general. But yeah, I think part of the problem, not a problem, but part of the issues one can face when developing such a protocol is also P2P communication, service discovery, and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely one of the a big aspect of having a decentralized infrastructure. And I think I think there will be or already are solutions to that.
Yeah. Do you think is there any viable solutions that you would mention, that you would advise? That you would advise other validator teams to use for their foundation infrastructure? That you would say, guys, use those technologies, or don't use those technologies. That is safer, that is more secure, that is more P2P, or the other way around.
Just to clarify, are you talking about the validators layer or the blockchain layer itself, and how validators are communicating with each other, or something different?
I was, but you feel free to answer is in any way you understand the question. But I was referring to a validator communication here, and primarily validator communication. Yes, that was my primary reference.
Yeah, but basically the underlying layer of Cosmos, aka Tendermint, or nowadays how they call it, Comet BFT. So this thing is pretty much the P2P thing, because it doesn't have a single point of failure. It has a lot of validators communicating with each other and weighing packages or signatures or transactions. So yeah, this is pretty much P2P infrastructure, and it's really beautiful. I mean, the difference between downloading a file from a server and downloading a file from a torrent. It's pretty much, the comparison. When you download the file from a server, it's pretty much, if the server is down, then nobody can download it. But if it's something like torrent, if one of the peers is down, then others continue to work okay. So yeah, pretty much that's the beauty of Tendermint or Commit BFT. So yeah, I would say this is really beautiful, and this is something that really gets me curious about that.
There was, we have a little minute of advertisement. We have for whoever is interested in learning a lot about, for listeners, I mean, about Tendermint and BFT. Sorry, I said it as two different words. There is a really cool episode with Žarko Milosevic, who is the CTO, actually, the guy for Informal Systems, who wrote most of, not most of it, sorry, but a lot of that code, and who is working on that. And if any listeners are interested to learn more about it, I advise you to check that out. Sergey, what about if we talk about decentralized infrastructure? What about, can we talk a little bit about how is Quokka Stake set up today? If you want to talk about it today, do you mostly use cloud? Do you use a mixture of cloud and something else? What is your setup today?
Yeah, this is something I am really proud of, or should I say we? Because usually I refer as Quokka Stake as we, because I am technically the only person who is maintaining it and is in charge, but we as a community, because it's not only me, but a lot of people who are staking with me. It really is something, the technical aspect and so these parts are something I'm really proud of, because I really spent a lot of effort making it as smooth as stable as possible. So, for example, I don't have a slashing history on my net so far. So yeah, about the technical parts, I am mostly using, not mostly, but all of the validators I am hosting are at home. I spend a lot of money buying the servers at home, so I have 3 servers that are running all of my validators, but also I use public infrastructure for my public infrastructure, such as public nodes and stuff like this. I use cloud providers and dedicated servers such as Hetzner, for example. So yeah, I do want to have more control over my infrastructure when it comes to validators. So it's really safe. It's more safe to host it at home. Because, for example, imagine a case when you have a server which is somewhere in cloud and it has a malfunction somewhere, and you don't want to get to jail, so you spin a new one, and somehow the old one comes back, and you end up double signing, which is something you really want to avoid. If something happens to my infrastructure, I can just plug it off, so it would never get back. So yeah, this is also something that I like about hosting at home. And also, for example, I use security measurements like hardware security module. So even if somebody would be able to get access to my servers, they can steal my keys. So yeah, this is something I really put a lot of effort, and this is something I can be really proud of. And about the monitoring infrastructure, because it's really important. Honestly, I'm seeing a lot of times that some validators who have really a lot of stake, they don't use proper monitoring systems. For example, I know one validator, I wouldn't name it, but the story is we were joking with one of my friends that they use their delegators as a monitoring solution. For example, if their delegators are joining their chat and saying, hey guys, you are jailed, this is something not a validator should do. So
that's bad.
yeah.
That's so bad. I think I know who that is. I'm not gonna say anything as well, but I have some names. I talked to a lot of validators, and I've heard this terrible joke before. Sergey, wait. I want to talk about bare metal, because we are actually at Citizen Web3, and me personally, I am like, yeah, I don't support. Well, I understand what latency means. I understand what liveliness means. I'm not stupid. And of course, when you have cloud servers, you can probably improve your liveliness. Sorry, not your latency so much, but your liveliness much higher than anything cloud. Than bare metal can do. But with that said, I am a person who's completely pro bare metal as we speak. Part of our branding from Citizen Cosmos, Citizen Web 3, I'm also building a server room where I'm located. We're almost finished. So hopefully in a month we're going to launch it. So let's talk about it, because I spoke to a lot of validators. I can tell you that in the 4 years, more and more validators I speak to are pro bare metal, and okay, we have to use cloud because we need liveliness sometimes, and I need to like, oh, move that. Yeah, and bare metal, yeah, it's hard to do that. But yeah, what would you advise today on, let's say a validator or a guy is listening to this episode or recording or tomorrow, today, doesn't matter. And they're like, yeah, I want to try bare metal too. What's your advice for them?
I would say the same thing that I would say to somebody who is asking who to stake with. Do your own research, because there's not like a silver bullet or something. Like every approach has its own trade-offs. It has its own pros and cons. So of course, while hosting something at home, you would get some benefits. For example, as I was saying, you have better control over your infrastructure, but also you have to think of redundancy or something like this. For example, if a server you are running a validator at would have a disk failure, and you would need to replace it ASAP, otherwise you would get jailed. Also, for example, think of a cases if your internet goes down, I had it a few times, or if your power goes down. So these kind of things are something you want to think of in advance, because if you are hosting your server in a data center, or if you're renting it, it's way better because it's not you who is taking care of these things, but somebody in the data center. So yeah, so basically I would say it's worth researching it, because there are trades-off, and something if you want to run at home, you have to think about it. So like redundancy, namely. Yeah, but yeah, also I would agree with you that I'm totally pro bare metal, because it really feels more safe for me as well.
Of course, it's not even I think like the safety. There is so much privacy, safety, and decentralization of aspects to it, and security as well, where but anyways, I'm not gonna go into the philosophy of that. But I would, by the way, just from my side, guys, if anybody is listening and you're thinking about the internet, I can say definitely share from, for example, advice from Notional team is buy 20 mobile internets. My advice is a bit different. My advice, the way we are setting up currently, we have our broadband and we use Starlink, and yeah, we're planning to use a third mobile internet, but Starlink is a good option these days, especially if you're available where you're located. Starlink, it's definitely a good secondary line for internet option. So yeah, but what about things like key management systems, Horcrux or TKMS or anything like that? What's your go-to in this area, in that field?
Yeah, I already use hardware software module. I bought HSM for $650. Yeah, and it's basically used for all of my mainnet validators. So yeah, this is something I really like, because as I was saying before, imagine if somebody gets access to your server somehow. I mean, not physical one, but I don't know, remotely. And if you are not using such a solution, somebody can just steal your keys and cause you to double sign, which is pretty much, I think, you don't want to. So yeah, if you don't have your keys on any other places than this hardware security module, it feels really more safe. And also, I mean, this part is about the validator keys as well, but also, for example, for me, I use Ledger also for my validator keys as wallets to store the mnemonics, so nobody would be able to steal it from me. So these parts, yeah, I really love it, and I really would encourage everybody who is either validating or thinking about validating to use these measurements as well if you can afford it, because it really pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's something that is, I can also share that as a validator, we have already experienced problems because not doing that before, and now we are doing that, but definitely that the same line of thinking here from my side. What about crazy things? I mean, this is the last question I have about bare metal, I guess. No, I have two more questions. Sorry, I lied to you. So the first one before the crazy one is I was, again, while I speak to different validators who do bare metal, I hear different opinions. And for example, there are some validators who say, no, we don't want to use refurbished hardware. And some who say, well, I am using only refurbished, well, primarily refurbished secondhand. hardware. What's your opinion when coming to validator? Is it applicable? Is it not applicable? Should people do it, not do it? What's your opinion?
I would say I don't have really a strong opinion on that. I think both may work. I mean, for refurbished, it can be, I don't know. You mean like second-hand refurbished or something else, right? Yeah, I mean, for that, I don't know if you are buying a server and there are issues with it. So yeah, this can happen, of course. So you have to, I think, do your own research again on whether it's good or not. But I don't have anything to say about something to say against that because it's really a cool idea. And also the cool aspect is that I don't know, like recycling and stuff. This is something I really like. But for me, I just bought 3 servers that are new. Actually, not the servers. Like I don't have servers as in a box that has something with it and it's running, but I just bought the computer parts and assembled it on my own. It costs way cheaper than just buying an enterprise grade server.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, it's an interesting topic because I think it's totally not just okay, but people should do it primarily. But I have had, believe it or not, guests. We have had big discussions about that who came on the show and they were like, no, 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 no. You have to buy only enterprise, only new. And to me, it was like a bit of, I don't know, but I have a kind of mixed opinion on that. I think that the opposite. I think that it makes much more this sense in terms of decentralization where refurbished hardware is used. But yeah, and this leads me kind of like to the crazy last question in that direction. What about crazy things? Because, and what I mean crazy things is, and I'm trying to do it personally. I still haven't done it. I am experimenting with it, and I've had at least already one team who has mentioned that they are working in that direction. So these guys are using solar panels and to power their wind. I think they have a mixture of wind energy and solar energy to power their validators and to power their UPSs. And yeah, they're basically trying to create a full independent cycle. What's your opinion on going as crazy? I like the idea, but it seems a lot of work. But what's your opinion?
Yeah, I just really love the idea. Actually, you've described it in the way, so I wanted to do it myself. I think it's actually quite impossible to do it here under these circumstances I'm living at. But yeah, I really love the idea because, for example, here I don't know, it's not that sunny. I don't think it would ever work as expected. But yeah, the idea is really cool. I would really love to encourage everybody who would love to try it out.
It's cool. I currently the setup that we are building, we are, for example, there is several parts to it, and I'm not going to go into them, but one of them is that there is a solar panel, a Starlink, and the Starlink is like a secondary line of internet. So if the fiber fails, the Starlink turns on. And the thing is that the Starlink currently is completely independent of the grid. It's powered by a UPS that is powered by solar panels. And that's kind of cool. Like to me, it's, I don't know, I understand that it's not really solving today anything. It's just a matter of, but the idea that we have it and we are trying to build towards that, I guess to me, I don't know, I get excited when I hear things like that. I'm like, yay, let's build decentralized infrastructure, we can do it.
Yeah. I actually love that you're talking about it that much because it's really cool and somebody is, I don't know, doing something cool and is ready to share his experience about that. This is actually what I'm doing because one of the things that I'm doing is writing a channel on how to be a validator, basically. Not how to be a validator, but some aspects of it, internals, because I think it's really important to share because, sharing is caring and I think it's really a really cool part of being a validator. I don't want to be a person like, I don't know, doing everything for myself. I want to share as well so others would, I don't know, benefit from it. It's all, a collaborative effort, I would say.
I think it was your post in a validator channel with your setup when I contacted you. I'm pretty sure that you made in a closed channel for validators, and you were talking about your setup, and it was that drew attention. I was like, oh my god, that guy is doing exactly what I think. This home validating and decentralized, trying to build the infrastructure, and I really believe that. I really believe that is the way to go. What about
That's really cool.
sorry, were you gonna say something? I'm sorry to interrupt, Serge.
Yeah. I say it's really cool that you found me this way.
Yeah, well, I guess, the world is small, and, our goal is to talk to validators, not just from within the Cosmos ecosystem. In my opinion, validator can be any operator, anyone that operates a type, any hardware that secures or does something for a decentralized, or a network that calls itself decentralized, at least. And yeah, I want to understand what those people have in mind, and this is our goal. And this is actually my next question to you. As a validator, what has been your biggest challenge so far? What has been your biggest difficulty that you could share?
My biggest difficulty was to get into Cosmos Hub active set, and I have a really cool story about this. I'm pretty sure you know this one, but I can share if you want. Basically, the idea was that I applied for Interchain Foundation delegation program, and I got some, but it was really enough to get me into the bottom of the active set. And I always had to, I don't know, buy more tokens to stay active, because if you are somewhere at the bottom of the active set, it's pretty much, I don't know, a race. Because if somebody is getting kicked out, they don't want to lose their spot and earn money. They want to earn money, so they buy more to stay active, and so on and so on. And it's getting more difficult to get active. So basically, I found a thread on the forum of Cosmos Hubs, and when somebody was suggesting we should increase the active set size from 175 to 200, and there were some concerns about replication security launch, and I don't know that it's difficult to predict how the active set would how it would influence the active set and how it will behave. So instead, I suggested to increase it not by 25 spots, but only 5 to 180. And I basically launched the proposal on chain, and we get it passed. So basically, I kind of secured myself a place in an active set. Yeah. Then there was another delegation program when I got some more money. So now I'm not somewhere at the bottom, but I'm now 162nd, I think. So it's really cool, and I kind of feel more safe now.
I remember that proposal, and I'm one of those people who's always I have only, like, I know that a lot of people that might hear it, especially some developers that might hear it, might argue with me here, but for me, I don't care. I think that if a network, the goal of a network, one of the goals is decentralization. That means more validators. If that breaks a network, that means the network needs to fix it. It doesn't mean it needs to have less validators. So in my opinion, the network should always think how to expand the validator set and not how to break the network. Yeah, let's expand it. If it breaks the network, it means our network is shit, and we need to fix the network and expand it even more. Otherwise, yeah, let's do Binance Chain, have 3 nodes, close the names, and yeah, well, sign the transactions ourselves. But then what's the point in having a blockchain, right? So I'm really grateful that you did that proposal. I remember that very well. And I was actually arguing to increase it by 15 or by 25, not by 5. I was saying, do more, let's do more validators. So yeah.
Yeah, my idea was to compromise because there was some concerns about how it would influence. And my idea was that we shouldn't have a big expansion. Instead, it would be better to, I don't know, increase it by 5 spots and wait some times and see how it would influence the active set and whether there's a desire for new validators to join. And if yes, then we can submit another proposal and another one and another one, and then gradually doing it until, I don't know, it's somewhere balanced.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that is the correct way to do it. It was more like, yeah, more validators. But Sergey, what is the one thing in Europe? Because I'm gonna do some pre-story to this question. It's a simple question, but it's an important question in my opinion. A lot of whenever I talk to validators, what most of the guests, and not just validators, founders, validators, VCs, blah blah blah, authors, most of the people, more or less, there is an understanding that one of the biggest problems and miscommunications, especially when it comes to blockchain, I guess to everything else in life, is education. What is, in your opinion, the one thing that if you could choose to educate every user and future user, what would it be? What would that one thing that you would say, okay, if everybody knew this, we would have a better blockchain community, or a more aware, sorry, not a better as in they are bad now, but more aware, more awake.
I have two answers to this question, and both of them are good. One is do your own research, and the other one is never share your seed phrase with others.
This is
I think
fantastic.
both of these are really
Fantastic.
important. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. We can leave it at that.
But I really adore the do your own research approach, because somebody is asking for an opinion, and it's really important to educate people on how could they educate themselves and how they can find, the information, and how to make up their own opinion, because it's really important. Like, we don't want to end up in a state when somebody is just, for example, voting for a proposal because somebody said them to, or somebody promised them an airdrop if they vote a specific way or something. It's really important that people, can think of how do they think, so they would, research a bit, they would see some information, and they form their own opinion and act based on it. And I think it's really important, because we don't want others influencing people. We want people to make up their own choices.
Absolutely. I see a lot of when in your opinion, though, is the you said an interesting point, and I want to ask you something like, where is the borderline? Because sometimes, I agree, DYOR, always DYOR. I say every time somebody invites me to talk somewhere and they start asking me like, oh, what do you think? I say, please filter everything I say, because I talk a lot of bullshit. So please, like, everything I say is probably a bullshit that should be checked 10 times. So where is that opinion when somebody who wants to do education, and for good reasons, a lot of people have good intention and they want to share, like you said, sharing is caring, but where is the line between being good or trying to be good, and suddenly where your education becomes dangerous to the public? And is there such a line where people should stop?
I would say there are two different aspects. One is when you are teaching others how to find the information in some way, how to form their own opinion. And the other one is when you are, saying what you are really thinking. So you can always say, I think this and this about this topic, but you are free to disagree with me, and you are free to say whatever you want, or find any information that can back you up and prove me wrong, for example. I think, these are not the same, and this should be treated differently a bit. Like when somebody is saying their own opinion, they should really also say that others are free to disagree with them. So I would say this is really important.
I agree. I understand. And I agree, and I understand what you're saying. I think that I guess I just see sometimes a lot of influencers, or so-called influencers, who have good intentions maybe at heart, but sometimes they, how to put this nicely, they don't DYOR. They don't do their own research, and they just like, they try to be good, and they like, oh, look, we are, I don't know, validating, I'm going to make this up right now, Blue Horse Chain. And then because they didn't do their own research, they were like, oh, Blue Horse Chain is the best. And then a year later, everybody's like, yeah, but Blue Horse Chain is a scam. And that's what I mean. And it's not about validators at all. It's about influencers. It's about like, there might be sometimes like a dangerous line where like, for example, as somebody who tried to do free education, we stopped. We had our product for 4 years, free education. And then we understood there's no point, because if you have values, either you have to delete those values or you have to do paid education. And, we decided to go into building, into development, because that way we can educate more people with the tools we build, rather than by screaming, I don't know, Blue Horse Chain is the best, please go and buy their, okay, not buy, but let's say some influencers don't make you buy tokens. But I think you understand what I mean. It's like, that's what I mean. Where is the danger between being too public and not public enough?
Yeah, it's like when on the how do you say it? Like either if you compare it to cases when you are, I don't know, teaching somebody how to do things, or if you are promoting something.
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry, sometimes I mute and I forget to unmute when I answer short
Yeah,
answers. I
I
apologize.
can forget. I mean, yeah, but my point is, if somebody is watching this and is thinking about what to do in crypto, like as a delegator, as a validator or something else, I would really suggest to do your own research, as in like this applies to really everything, not only in crypto, but really in the world, because it's really important to understand how do you search for information, how do you make up your opinion or something. You don't want to be just I don't know, just read some article and think, oh, this is cool, I am going to do this, because I don't know, you want to, I don't know, read some more topics on that to form an opinion, because you don't want to be influenced by others. You want to make up your own opinion, and this is really important in crypto as well.
Absolutely, guys. DYOR, DYOR, DYOR. I absolutely agree with Sergey here because DYOR is doing your own research is really really, really important when it's to separate where is your opinion, like Sergey said, and the opinion of somebody else. Sergey, let's do a little blitz, like the final thing. I promise 5 questions. It's going to be weird questions. When I say blitz, you don't actually have to answer them like that. I call it blitz, but it's not really a blitz. It's more of like 5 slightly random questions, but they allow the listeners to, I think, connect a lot more to the guest, and let's do it. So give me one direction of technology, for example, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain is an example, that you are the most interested in today, currently. Is it blockchain or is it something else?
Blockchain for sure, I would say. Yeah, but I mean, even in blockchain, there are different aspects of it, but yeah, it's so diverse, I would say. But yeah, blockchain in general, I think it's quite promising.
Is there any specific within blockchain directions that you would like to mention, or no?
As I was saying, I really like something that focuses on security, namely something like NIM does. This is like really crazy, and I want to see more projects like this.
So you actually answered the second. My second question was give me one project, but you already said NIM. And by the way, I'm also very, very much interested in NIM and Namada. I think those projects are very interesting solutions to what's going on. So definitely. Okay, so
I mean, it's not only one, because for example, there's Sentinel, there's Sankash, there's Jackal, a lot of them. But yeah.
okay. Is there anything any more? Is there any other project outside of Cosmos that you would name?
I would actually name one that is cool, but it's is in Cosmos, but not in privacy and stuff. There's something I really like, and the project is Bitsong, because they're really doing something cool. They are trying to, I don't know, make the music industry going into the Web3 sphere, and they want to do, I don't know, something crazy there. And this is something I really like. And I wish there were some more projects like this, because as you can see, it's only, for example, I have named already a few projects that are focused on privacy. Then this project Bitsong is focused on the music industry, and basically a lot of industries that are not into blockchain yet they can benefit from using the blockchain in some way.
What about the other 3 questions that are a bit more difficult, but let's go. Give me one book or one movie that has had some kind of influence on you in the past year. Doesn't matter what influence.
Can it be a TV series?
Can it be? Yes, for sure, 100%.
One of the most interesting and cool TV series I watched was Ted Lasso, and it is kind of therapeutic. I don't know how to say it. It's really cool and I know warm. So I really loved it and enjoyed it. And I think if you would watch it, you would get what I mean.
I haven't. I've heard about it and I haven't. And this is a good answer because it's a very usually the answers to these questions always are mixed. And this is the first time I hear this answer, so it's a good one.
I heard a lot of people recommending it because it was really cool and stuff, and I didn't get why they are into it that much. And then I watched it and I'm like, okay, so now I'm here suggesting it to watch it to you as well.
Awesome. Awesome. But that's good, man. This is how it goes, right? Spread the love. Sharing is caring. So the last two are the most obscure questions. Sergey, give me one motivational thing that gets Sergey out of bed every morning and keeps going to work, keeps running nodes. Something motivational that you do that keeps you every day maybe not every day, but 95% of the time, get out of bed and do what it is you want to do.
For me, it's not like, some quotes or something. I just go to my dashboards and see how much value is staked with me. So for now, it's more than 3 million. Like, okay, I'm doing something good. So people are trusting me with their tokens and stuff like this. So this is what gets me to get to be more motivated. But really, it's really cool sometimes that when you feel appreciated for what you're doing. For me, I'm not that, I would say, immediate person. I'm mostly striving in technical contributions, for example, running infrastructure and stuff like this. So when this is something that is getting appreciated, that is really cool. For example, again, on Sentinel, which is I'm mostly active, I think there are a lot of people saying that the infrastructure I'm running is the best and they are using it a lot. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. So yeah, this is something that gets me going, I would say, and it gets me more motivated. But yeah, and of course do your own research, I would say, and do something that you really enjoy about doing. I would say this is really cool. For me, crypto is one of these.
I think it's a cool motivational thing to do what you enjoy to do. I think it's a perfectly legitimate answer to the question I was asking. Last one, I promise. And this one is the weirdest one. People say that this is, I don't think so, but let's go. So, dead or alive, real or not real, it could be a GitHub developer, it could be an author, it could be a cartoon character, it could be somebody from your family. I don't care. Give me one person that inspires or has in the past inspired you to do what, at least, to live, to exist, to be.
Within like the last year or something?
No, in your life, ever. Doesn't matter. It could be Mickey Mouse. It could be Kashey Besmertny. It could be, the developer of Ethereum. And I don't mean Vitalik Buterin, but like whatever. Could be anybody in the world. Could be your family. I don't know, whatever.
Me, it was basically like one guy I was watching on YouTube. He was doing some travel videos. And he was traveling like a hobo basically because one of his videos when he traveled to Moscow by hitchhiking without any money and was meeting the new year here, and it was really cool because like you are basically like a hobo. You don't have money, but you do have so much energy and are willing to share it with others, and this is so cool, really. And this guy really motivated me a lot because. You get so much energy just for watching this. This guy is called Brодyaga Fishai, his channel on YouTube. So yeah, I really love this guy and he is really cool and passionate and he really what motivated me at some point and I think always.
I like it. Guys, as always, all the links and all the things that Sergey mentioned, including the YouTube channel, we will find it. It will be under the description of the episode when it comes out. Other than that, Sergey, please don't switch off just yet. We're just gonna say goodbye and stop the recording. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you, Sergey, for your time and answering my weird questions. Thank you.
Thank you for hosting. It was really been nice being here, and I wish you really something really cool with your podcast because you are doing really great job here.
Thank you.
This content was created by the Citizen Web3 Validator. You may support our work by delegating to any of our nodes.